again at Greenleaf Nursery, and where the first show we did a lot of the things that started Greenleaf and everything. Well, this one we're going to talk about how environmentally friendly Greenleaf is. And we're here again with Ken Pollock and Jim Thompson, and glad that you guys could be with us again. And I know y'all know as much about this as anybody, so we're glad to get the experts here today. You know, they didn't stick us with some of y'all's underlings, because y'all know all about it. So
good to be here.
Now, you know, we were talking in the first show about how Greenleaf has been here for 50 years, and it was a good 30 years ago, wasn't it, or close to it, that they started being aware of the environment, things like that, Ken?
Yeah, Roger, I would say back in the 80s, you know, we started being more environmentally conscious of the situation. And a matter of fact, in the 80s, we were approached by the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, and they came to us and said, you know, Greenleaf, you along with everybody else that's located along the Illinois River drainage basin and along Tenkiller Lake, we all need to do our fair share of, you know, reducing the amount of nutrients that enter the Illinois River basin and Tenkiller Lake, as well as chemicals in general. So sure enough, that was probably the first or middle part of the 80s.
And there wasn't any mandate to do that.
No,
they just asked, would you go volunteer, and that's what happened.
And so after that, we thought, you know what, we need to do everything that we can. And we've got an owner, one of the owners, John Nickel, one of the founders. He is very environmental conscious. He has a preserve out northeast of Tahlequah, and he's a very good steward of our environment. And so he was very much willing to supply us with the money that was needed to set up what we call an irrigation recycling program. And so sure enough, back in 1992, we started the initial stages of setting up the nursery, where it would collect all of our runoff, so that we had no runoff leaving the nursery, no irrigation runoff leaving the nursery. Yeah. We started that in 92 and finished in 1999. So it took quite a few years to complete the project, because tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of expense. Actually, we spent about $2.5 million in constructing our recycle system. So as you can see, we have one of the containment basins here.
Now, how many are there that's on the...
There's a total of 7 different containment basins.
Is this the biggest one?
This is the largest, yes, that's true.
Well, with the rolling topography and everything, why, there's a lot of places to build them, but that also means there's a lot of runoff.
Yeah.
So
we have a lot of different runoff points, is what made the program more expensive, you know, the construction of it, because all the containment basins, recycle basins, all the pipe that was involved, you know, the drainage system to bring that water to these basins. Yeah. You know, a lot of expense.
Yeah. Well, and now, you know, it's one thing to catch it. A lot of people build ponds on their place, but everything's in place here, the pumps and all that, and that was a big expense of it.
Right.
To pump that back up and use that irrigation water, it filters through the soil and comes back here, and you use it over and over and over.
It is continually recycled. In other words, as you can see, the water's collected here, it'll be pumped. We got 2 different pump sites on this particular basin, and the water's pumped back onto the plants. You know, it irrigates the plants, and then it'll be returned back to this one of these basins. That's
one reason why we wanted to show this, is I have a number of people that are completely unaware that this exists, and they think that anything that you do just runs off in the lake, and if they didn't catch fish that day, it's Greenleaf Nursery's fault. But there's very little of the water that actually goes in Tenkiller, unless there's some type of a flood or something that just can't be
we don't have any runoff, irrigation runoff, that leaves the nursery.
You know, capture it all.
We capture it all. We got these 7 different basins that catch it, and so it does not leave the nursery. That's right. So it's reused.
That's phenomenal, and I know it's been completed for 10 years now. Worked well, not just a whole lot of maintenance. It just is a success story that we really wanted to show the people. And there's a lot of things to it.
Oh boy. You know, one of the things, or 2 of the things that we were really concerned with as we were building this system, was, were the nutrients going to build up, the fertilizers that is, as they went from, you know, out of the containers into these basins, would that fertilizer build up in the water to a point where it could be potentially problematic, you know, create a problem to our plants. So we was very concerned about that. We was also concerned about recycling all this water. Would it potentially spread diseases, you know, different types of soil-borne diseases or foliar diseases? And so one piece of advice that we did get from Oklahoma State, they told us when as pathogens, or that is these diseases, they call them pathogens that will infect plants, as these diseases, if they would flow down into your containment basins, they'll generally sink pretty rapidly, or those that don't sink, they'll float for a period of time and then they'll sink to the bottom. So we were told and actually advised that it'd be good if we could put our intakes, you know, to our pumps kind of in that middle part of the water.
Not put it down deep where you'd
put it
be
at the
pulling it
bottom.
up.
That's right, and that you would decrease the amount of diseases then would be pumped out of that water onto the plants again. So,
Roger, I wanted to share one thing. When we finished the program in the late 90s, we, the nursery, were given 3 awards. One was an EPA Environmental Excellence Award from the federal government. We also received an award from the Sierra Club on Earth Care, and we received an award from some of our fellow industrial people from the Southern Nursery Association for doing this project.
So a lot of people are aware and know what amount of trouble it was to get it done.
Absolutely.
Okay.
we kind of set an example for a lot of nurseries throughout the nation to set up programs similar to this, you know, to recycle their runoff. And so a lot of people have come out here and observed what we're talking about right now and what we've done in the last few years. So.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let's take a break and we'll be back. We want to look at some other things.
Okay.